Hey everyone, welcome to a new series of mine called Chase Breakdown. I play Dead by Daylight both on and off stream, and sometimes I do get long chases or cool moments while offline. I'd like to break down 1 or 2 chases per week against different killers to potentially help you with making better decisions in chase or learning how to counter different killer powers. I'll be pausing the video throughout to give you an idea of what I was thinking and to let you think about what choice you might have made next. I'll also point out small or large mistakes I made and how I could improve, as no one is perfect every time. I hope this helps you out in the future, and be sure to let me know if there are any specific killers you would like to see. This week we take on a Legion and Nemesis. Let's get into the chases. Now for these 2 games, I am playing in a Swift. I am not in comms with these people, so I can't talk to them during the game, so this is all just pure gameplay with other good survivors that happen to be my friends. The first chase is against Legion. Now the first thing you'll notice is that one of my survivor teammates is hooked. As soon as I see this hook, I instantly look around to try and locate where they are on the map, because this will give me an idea of where the killer is. Just by doing a small thing and looking around for my survivor teammate, I can see that they are above me, and I can also see that the killer is in the left doorway by the little red glow that we can see there. When on a generator, I like to look out for 3 different paths that I can take to escape the killer. Depending on the direction, obviously the kill on the left here, I only have a doorway in front of me and a doorway to my right. Let's see what happens next. This seems like an odd place to pause the video, but a lot of people don't know that blinding a Legion will take them out of their frenzy. It does leave you vulnerable as there is no fatigue, but it will save your teammates in the long run and prevent that frenzy from snowballing and the Legion getting those easy injures. Running around a table like this against an M1 killer is usually pretty easy, as long as you have reactions to match when they change direction and try and potentially mind game you. The biggest time they'll try and mind game you is when they're inside of the pallet, because they're able to somewhat hide their red glow. I was able to run a good line around the table and actually have the Legion miss a hit on me, which allowed me an extra loop around. The big mistake that I made is right where we've frozen here. I've thrown the pallet as the killer's gone into frenzy. We did have a little standoff, but unfortunately I have thrown the pallet, which is meaning the killer is going to be able to jump over the pallet and probably get a hit on me unless I'm able to pull out something to make them miss. Now the killer did leave me just for a short moment, and I was able to heal myself back up. Normally you wouldn't heal against the Legion, as they can use their frenzy and injure everyone really easily, but the killer does have Thanner, which slows down the gen progress, so it can be a good idea to heal. Ideally, you don't want to be running around in the same area with one of your teammates, as it can get confusing and you can get in each other's way. You'll see my teammate does peel off to the side here and leave this area for me, which is great. I do make a mistake here by not vaulting the pallet, however most killers will try and mind game a pallet, so it was fair for me to assume that that might happen. The killer does have their frenzy, injures me and injures my teammate, but does come back for round 2 of this chase. Map awareness is super important and is showcased by this next part of the chase. There are certain spots on every map where a pallet will appear, this being one of them for this map. However, it is quite weak and I know the killer can mind game it quite easily, so I'm already moving in another direction towards a room where I know another pallet will appear 100% of the time. As you can see, we've run past the unsafe pallet and we're headed back to a room where the killer previously chased us. This is because we know this pallet is down and we can potentially win a mind game to move to a stronger area. Remembering small things like this in chase will help you panic less, but also extend these chases out longer than you may have ever before. You do see me click my flashlight at the killer. This is not to be toxic, this is simply to keep the killer invested in chasing me, as there is only one gen left and I know my teammates are working on them currently. This is also because I know I most likely have safe areas upstairs, as the killer has chased me for a lot of gens and I haven't been over that side of the map yet. As I head upstairs, I do run past the other pallet that's lying down and head straight for the window. This eliminates any mind game that the killer can try and pull on me and puts me in a better situation. You see me do a little spin here, and it actually almost works because the killer does almost double back to go to the other room, then realizes that I'm still heading forwards and continues to chase me. I'm not sure why I didn't complete the blind. I think my finger may have just fallen off the button, but here where I've frozen, you'll notice a moment where the killer is stood completely straight, but they're not in the breaking animation. This is a small minute mind game the killer is trying to pull on me, where they're pretending to break the pallet, hoping that I run away from the pallet. Them not being in the animation can then just break away from the pallet and get an easy down on me. So I am very patient when it comes to this, to make sure I don't run away before the killer has initiated that breaking animation. Throughout this chase, you'll notice that I've always been putting the killer on the side of the pallet or the loot that I want, so this gives me control of the chase and lets me dictate where I want to move next. Something you may have noticed throughout this chase is that I have had Dead Hard available, as I've been injured pretty much the whole time. Being greedy with Dead Hard can work in your favour, it can also backfire and you can go down from it. However, not using my Dead Hard earlier has allowed me to again avoid the mind game at the pallet and just Dead Hard to the window, extending the chase out even longer, potentially getting me through to another room with another pallet. As I enter into the final room, my teammates do complete the last generator and start powering the exit gates. I do go down, but they are able to save me and we do all escape the map. I really hope that this chase breakdown helps. A lot of the stuff that we talked about can definitely be applied to other basic attack killers. Let's have a look at the Nemesis and see what we can learn. The first part of this chase involves me saving someone from the basement and the killer chasing me from there. Let's see what happens after I've done that. What you're seeing here is me trying to save the survivor without getting grabbed. I'm trying to get the killer to hit me so that I can get that little bit of time to save the survivor. I have Dead Hard and borrowed time. I can Dead Hard away, the killer hits the survivor, they get the borrowed time effect, and then we're both out of the basement. For the start of this chase, there were some very big mistakes and also a couple of small mistakes. One of the small mistakes was that I didn't leave the basement area as quick as I could. The killer did kind of force me to go a certain way, which was good on their part, but I also feel like maybe I could have played it a little bit differently so that I wasn't the one that ended up in the basement next. I end up running into a tree, but somehow mind gaming the killer as I do that, and get quite lucky as I do manage to dodge a hit and end up being able to use the pallet once again. I chose to pause at this moment as I did two things. The first thing was I tried to bait the pallet just before we paused, so that if the killer did try and hit me, I tried to make them think I was going to vault it, and potentially they would have missed me with a basic attack. The second thing I've done here is get hit by the tentacle intentionally. This gives me a free sprint burst away, and realizing that I was in a weaker area, being injured and being near the basement, I want to try and move to a stronger area where I can potentially run the killer for longer. I do make another mistake here because I do panic a little bit. I am injured and he has hit me with his tentacle before, which means I am vulnerable to the tentacle. So I try to vault through the window and the killer does read that and they are right on top of me once again. A Nemesis will try to not get stunned or respect a pallet because they can hit you over the top of the pallet with their tentacle. This Nemesis respects the pallet way too much and ends up resetting the loop where I can start looping around this pallet and potentially use that window again. I've paused the video here because I have a choice to make. I can either go through the vault or fake going through the vault. Now how do I make this choice and what do I decide this on? The last time that I went to go through a window, the killer picked the way I went and they managed to be on top of me. So normally a survivor will do the exact opposite of what they did the first time to try and put the killer off. I, however, am just going to go straight through the vault and hope that the killer doesn't call my bluff. I've vaulted into the shack here, which is something that I wouldn't normally do. However, I am contaminated and I am injured, so I do want to minimize my risk of being hit by the tentacle, and the killer probably does have some bloodlust built up because they've been chasing me for a while. I did make a big mistake by leaving the shack without using the shack pallet or all the window vaults available. However, I did think I misdirected the Nemesis enough to gain a bit of distance. I was able to take a nice line around the rock, gaining a little bit of room from the killer, and then for some reason they tried to tentacle me instead of basic attack me, and I was able to dodge the tentacle. All you need to do if you're trying to dodge a tentacle in that scenario is just wiggle from side to side, spin around, and you basically just hope for the best. And then as you see, I am able to get the window vault and extend the chase. So I figured out that the killer is trying to hit me with their tentacle rather than basic attack me, so I am able to just freely vault this without having to worry about the killer doubling back, and then as I do that, the last generator does pop, and I have managed to keep the killer distracted for long enough for everything to get done. At this point of the trial, the gens are all done, the exit gates are surely getting opened by my teammates, the killer has only eyes for me, so I make sure I run through the shack and leave my scratch marks going through there. I wait at the corner here, and I actually don't see the killer go through the shack, but I just make a good guess and I just hold W all the way to the exit gate. This is my favourite part of the chase because this shows you that even if you don't beeline to the exit, you can still get out. I actually think that in fact if I did beeline to the exit, the killer potentially would have cut me off. However, they did follow my scratch marks instead, and I was able to get a lot of distance and just cruise on out to the exit. Let me know in the comments if these chase breakdowns help, or come tell me while I'm live on Twitch. Enjoy your games, and good luck in the fog.